Let's look at content creation through the lens of a 6-2 manifesting generator. Sarah is a continuing participant in the Content by Design experience. Why continuing? Because once you're in, you get to keep coming back for live rounds. So this will be Sarah's third time coming through Content by Design. Last time she was able to launch her podcast. She's actually put out several seasons of her podcast now. The second time she came through for a live round, she was just on the cusp of changing her niche. So she was finding her footing in this new niche, which is microdosing for entrepreneurs. I've worked with Sarah personally for my own microdosing, and I've had the pleasure of working with her as a client through several iterations of her business. Remember, I said manifesting generator. Today, we're going to do a case study of Sarah's design and what's happening in her business based on what she discovered throughout the Content by Design experience and what she's moving into next. So first things first, Sarah is a 6-2 manifesting generator. She is in that point of the 6-line journey where it's really, really uncomfortable. She's in her 40s, and that can be so uncomfortable for 6-line profiles. We call it on the roof in human design because you feel like you are on the roof, you look down, you see everything that's happening, and you so desperately want to fix it, but people aren't ready to hear you. They're still looking at your first 30 years, your 3rd-line phase of life, and thinking you're a screw-up and thinking that you make all the mistakes. And you might even be feeling some shame around making those mistakes. Remember that for a 3rd-line, 6th-line, there's no such thing as a mistake. But there's a lot of integrating that you're doing right now, and that's the case with Sarah as well. I should tell you that Sarah is a mom of young kids. She is a full-time employee, and this is her side hustle. So when she was looking at launching her podcast, it was no small thing that she was undertaking. She chose to do that by launching it in a series. So she only had to think about 4 episodes at a time, and she just kept coming up with episodes in the next 4 episodes. Batching works really, really well for her because of her time schedule with her little ones and her full-time job. So let's look at her design, and then we're going to go into next steps for Sarah. When we look at this design, I'm going to link up the chart for you so that you can see it in the show notes. When we look at her design, we see that this is a highly pressurized design. How do I know that? Because her head center is completely open and her root center is undefined. So we know that all energy in human design is trying to make its way to the throat. So it's pushing up from the root and down from the head center. The head center is mental pressure. The root center is adrenalinized pressure. That's a hard word to say. So we see a design of someone who is constantly under pressure. We also see that Sarah is a 3420 MG. OMG. The 3420 MGs are here to be busy for themselves. And sometimes it is taxing for the people in their lives because they can feel like they can appear to us to be more selfish because they are so focused on moving their own goals forward. They are meant to be busy, 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 busy for themselves. So oftentimes a 3420 can feel like in your life they don't ever have time for you. They're the 3420 in my life, and we've been trying to get together for a coffee for probably 8 months. And she always has to tell me all of the things that are going on in her life and how busy she is. So just know that if you have a 3420 in your life, that's maybe a little bit of grace that you can give them. It's important to give them a little bit of grace around that because that's how they're designed to be. Sarah has this 3420 that is all about her power in the moment. It is her power now. It is an archetype of power. She also has the 3410, which is staying true to her own convictions. She cannot do something that she does not believe in. She never will. The other thing with this 3410 is that it's so important for her to be doing what she loves and loving what she does. And like I said, I have been through a few iterations of Sarah's business with her, and I see how she starts to fade if it doesn't feel like she loves the thing anymore. When we're talking about microdosing, she is so in it. She is convinced of the benefits. You really should see her old website compared to the new website, if she has got the new one up and live right now, because she even looks different. She even looks different in this microdosing world. That's how much of a difference it's made for her. So that allows her to be passionate and bringing it to her people. Sarah's Mercury is in gates 59 and 23. She's giving voice to the radical insights of the 43. She has a unique way of assimilating information, breaking down concepts in a way that actually she can put into words and help people through things with them. And for her, it's all about the people that she serves. She knows in a moment if you are a person who is for her or not. And it's so important that she honors that in her business. When we look at her authority is emotional. So when you look at her design, you see that her emotional center and her will center are completely removed from the rest of her design. She's a split definition, which means a lot of things. One, that sometimes she's going to need to access other people's energy to get herself going, creating content or doing things in her business. Another thing it's going to mean is that sometimes when things are going wrong in her life and her business, she's going to tend to blame others because she has a lot of conditioning around the gates that would bridge her splits or bring her design together. So for her, with this emotional solar plexus and will center completely removed from the rest of her design, detached from the rest of her design, her emotions can feel like they're separate from her. And a lot of the work that we did, yes, this is a content creation experience. However, a lot of the work that we do is, who are you really as you show up in your business? Who are you really as you show up in your content? Where's your voice? Where's Sarah in all of this? And part of what Sarah had to be in all of this is emotional. She had to learn how to be emotional. She had to learn how to honor her emotions in a way that she'd not been raised to do, in a way that she'd not experienced in the corporate world of how to do. But she actually has an emotional wave that is based on needs not being met. And for her, things kind of pile up and pile up and pile up and pile up. And she's given me permission to say this. One time I got a message from her that was like, okay, is it normal that I should feel like I want to kill my husband when I'm in my wave? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of totally normal for you. For her, right? This is a tribal wave, and it is based on needs either being met or not being met. This gate 40 is her conscious sun as well. And 40 is the gate of aloneness. Sometimes people who have gate 40 can feel a little bit like they don't fit in. Karen Curry Parker describes it as, you can be in the mosh pit at a concert and everybody's lifting you up on their arms. Sarah, 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 you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. And then you get down and you're like, oh, I don't think they really like me. There is retreat built into this gate 40. And a lot of the work that we have done, Sarah and I, has been around between her second line and this gate 40 and this emotionally defined system. How can she retreat? How can she let it be okay that she needs to retreat? How can she ditch the thinking that she has to have a content plan and show up every single day on social media? Because her wave is deep. Her wave is very, very deep. And there are times where she's just not going to want to be there for her people. And she gets to honor that. She gets to honor that as she moves forward, creating content in her business and bringing clients into her business. When we look at her messaging, there's a lot of places that we look in Content by Design for your messaging. But one of the things that I'm going to highlight with you here is her openness. So she has a completely open head and ajna. So she really has a way of being open-minded and bringing people in, helping them to set up new frameworks, new ideas, conceptualizing new things, being inspired by things, inspiring others. These are some of the things that she can use in her content. She also has an undefined spleen, which is the fear center. It's a center for the immune system, and it is a center for intuition. Now, one of Sarah's iterations of her business was she was the intuitive tech witch. She uses her intuition in her microdosing coaching like you would not believe. So when you look at her design, you see that gate 57 is undefined. However, she has the 20 and the 10 and the 34. So there's a lot of pushing for an electromagnetic there. So this intuition of hers is so finely tuned in relationship. And when you're with her in her coaching business, you're in a relationship with her, right? So she has access to killer intuition in her business. You would not believe how intuitive this woman is. And she can bring that in her messaging. She has an innate fear of past patterns repeating. And that's something that she can really tap into in her business. And also an underlying fear of, I feel like I'm responsible for everybody. Who am I really responsible for? I'm like the papa bear that has to set the rules and has to set the tone. And sometimes I'm so tired of doing that. There's a real push in her design for integrity, always being in integrity. And then the root center is all about pressure. So when you're using your undefined root center in your messaging, it's a lot about reducing overwhelm, reducing stress, giving people tools to manage stress. Microdose coaching, right? It fits perfectly. So think about reducing stress and overwhelm with your undefined root center in your content creation. For her, the gate that she has defined here as a superpower is warrior energy. It's the gate of the fighter. It's the gate of understanding what's worth fighting for, understanding that you need to be on purpose in your life. All of this is work that Sarah does in her business. And by drawing people in through these messages, it helps her business to succeed. In fact, she said after the last round of Content by Design that it was the first time in any of her coaching businesses that she'd actually gotten paying clients. And I'm not telling tales out of school. That's a testimonial on my website that you can read from Sarah, that she had tried over and over and over again with all different types of businesses because she knows she's here to be an entrepreneur, but she wasn't getting the traction until we really looked at changing her messaging. Her Mars, which is her core wound, is all about self-expression and being authentically herself, standing up as the role model, and that's part of her 6-line profile as well. So there's something that Sarah is naturally good at. She's a 6-2. And second lines, we can often question our genius. We think that the things that we're good at come easily to everyone, and they don't. So if you're a second line and you're listening to this, what actually is your genius? People are going to be calling you out for all kinds of things, but you get to be discerning about what's right for you. And you're going to use this genius in your content creation. It's really important. So sometimes I see people in the human design space who are second lines in their content talking about, oh, this is so natural for me. This comes naturally for me. That's not what you want to do because nobody wants to hear that. No, you want to shine the light on your genius and stay in your zone of genius and then bring that other piece of your profile in as well. So for Sarah right now in her content, it's all about integrating the lessons that she's learning. And she does that very well by talking about her own microdose journeys and her own life. This is the design of someone who leads by example, both as a 6-2 and as someone with the type of design that she has as a 34-20, 34-10, all of those things. So what's next for Sarah? I'm so glad you asked. This is a high-level overview. We do 8 weeks together, at least in the Content by Design experience. It's my eyes on your business and your design over and over and over again. 2 calls a week, 3 hours a week with me. And there's so much for us to unpack in your business. I take my 30 years of entrepreneurship. I have built 5 consecutive 6-figure businesses. I know how business works, not just one business. That was across 5 different industries. So I get it. I get how this works, and I get how to help you build your business based on who you're here to be, based on your unique human design. That's where the juiciness is, because Sarah, like almost all of us, has been through burnout before. She has burned herself to the ground trying to do things the way that other people tell her to do it, and it never works for her because she is uniquely designed, and you are uniquely designed as well. So what's next for Sarah is that she's actually taken the step to come into the mastermind. So she's working through Content by Design, showing up for live calls whenever she wants to, doing some of the homework whenever she wants to, popping the things in for me to take a look at, that you always have that once you've been in Content by Design. So you'll see her in the next live round, but she's also taking the next step to go into the mastermind with me because she's ready to actually set up a launch process in her business that gives her a regular income in her business. Like I said, this is a side hustle for Sarah. She still has her full-time job. She has little ones at home. She's not interested in doing a full-out crazy challenge launch or a masterclass launch or something like that. We're actually looking at working with her to have some sort of an evergreen funnel going with deadline timers and things like that so that she can launch in a way that actually fits her life. We're going through to the next iteration of her business so that she can scale it. She's got her messaging down. She knows what works. She's got her podcast for lead generation. She doesn't want to be on social media all the time. She likes it when she likes it, but 40-37, when she doesn't want to be there anymore, she doesn't want to be in there anymore, and that has to be okay. And now we are going to scale that business by finding a launch pattern that actually works with her life and her design and her business structure. If you want to follow Sarah along, I will pop the link in for you to find her on Instagram. And if you're thinking about using microdosing in your life and in your business, I can say that I recommend Sarah highly. I've done 2 microdosing journeys with her, and it's phenomenal the difference that it's made in helping me to go to my next level of personal growth. And having Sarah's support there, she holds you so well with this 40-37. Remember that your definition is what you actually deliver. And with this 40-37, it's all about friends, family, community. It's support. It's tribal energy. Tribal energy longs to support. It's excellent at one-on-one work. It's excellent at holding people over a period of time. And Sarah does that in spades. So I'll pop all that into the show notes and into the links here in the YouTube video for you so that you can grab it and get into Sarah's world.